Do you ever feel like you're getting into a rut in language learning? At the end of last year, I started feeling that way, and that I wasn't really making much progress. So today I'm going to talk about what I did to change things up in general, including the way I'm now using Duolingo. The first issue I had was that I had got into a routine where I was only studying one language a day. When I started this, it seemed to make sense. That way I wouldn't get things confused. But that meant I was only practicing each one once every 4 days. That's quite a long time between sessions. It began to feel like not enough, that I was getting no momentum. So what was the solution? It's not rocket science. I decided to do 2 languages per day and spend a little less time on each. I split it into Italian and French on the same day and Spanish and Welsh on the same day. This kept things nicely separated, as I'm still using Duolingo's Italian to French a lot of the time, and I'm using English as the basis for Spanish and Welsh. Another problem I had, totally self-made again, was that I was always defaulting to listening in Italian, with a little Spanish getting a look in. I'd become bored with the French podcasts I've been listening to, and having to watch Welsh TV wasn't all that practical. So I decided that before each study session, I had to listen to something in that language for at least 15 minutes. This has turned out to be mostly radio, but it could be music or podcasts. It has worked so far, and when listening, you can be doing something else, like cooking or washing the dishes or drawing, whatever. You might be able to do it while commuting, for example. In that way, it's not really a time burden. All this makes me feel a lot better about how I'm doing, like I'm making progress. Well, in most of the languages. More on that in a minute. So if you're feeling things are a bit stale, try changing things up. Listen to something different. Change the combination of things you're doing at any one time. It might just give you the impetus you need to keep going. Okay, now I have a confession to make. When I subscribed to Duolingo, I said I was only going to pay for it for 1 year, and I was serious about that. But when it came to it, I couldn't bear the thought of going back to Ad City again, so I let it renew. Anyway, several months into using the updated app, what do I think? I still contest that I should be able to remove the stories from the daily review. I keep getting the same stories over and over, and it's doing my head in. Admittedly, this is partly because I'm doing this with multiple languages, but still, let me skip them, please. Now, it's possible this might actually be starting to happen, because I saw another video where someone said they were able to skip stories once they'd seen them multiple times in the path. Here's hoping. In the daily refresh, which I think in theory is a good idea, I would like to see it jump around more through the different parts of the course, so you don't get the same sentences 2 sessions running or more. But I discovered that there is a solution to the boredom, because if you click on the section banner, you can still get to the path and do the legendary levels one at a time, whenever you want. And you can just go over the individual lessons again, which I've started trying now as a way to make things more interesting. Actually being able to revise what I want to revise is much, much better. Now, about the individual languages. Welsh. Before I discovered I could get back to the path, I was forcing my ways through the legendary levels just to try to get onto new topics. I don't really care about the vocab for the solar system or the winter solstice or election or any of that stuff that I'm not sure I'll ever need. And I was doing this with Google Translate for Welsh up on my computer and looking up words where I needed to. I tried to do 2 sections per day, but sometimes I gave up on the second one because I felt like I was getting nowhere. Which was true, because I was able to get multiple sentences wrong in a row. I wasn't getting enough practice on verb forms or different verbs. The same ones kept coming up again and again, and the longer that went on, the more I knew was fading into the distance, which was a shame. So I decided to look for another app that I might be able to use. I specifically wanted an app because that's easier for me. So I started using Memrise, the free version, because that has a Welsh course, but only a Welsh South course. South is potentially better for me because I live closer to the south of Wales. In terms of learning, though, this is better because you only learn what you need. I've already discovered a couple of things I didn't know. I'm not sure I'm completely convinced about the method of teaching the language. I'll probably talk about that more in another video when I've had more experience of it. But I do like the fact that you hear and see actual people speaking the language. The end result is that I'm now flitting between the two apps, which is another way to get out of that rut. I suppose I should also mention the book I was reading. I persevered with that for about 20% of the book, then I gave up. It just wasn't fun, and the story wasn't inspiring enough, I guess. I think I know who did it, but I don't care about finding that out for certain. I'm still pushing through the English to Spanish course, and it does seem to be fulfilling my wish for more expansive vocabulary, although I know some of it won't be European Spanish. At the time of writing, I'm at the point where we start with past tenses, so I might slow down a bit doing all the exercises, because all that's fine when reading, but very fuzzy in terms of putting it together myself. I've started doing the same thing with French, speeding through the English to French course some of the time, and doing the daily refresh on Italian to French at others. Again, this I think will help consolidate things and give me more variety. As for Italian, I'm also starting to go back into the past to focus on specific things a little more. I'll probably alternate this with the daily review. Again, I like that flexibility. And there is one more thing I want to add. I might have misled you slightly earlier, because I started learning a new language in January, which means I'm not only doing 2 languages a day, but I'm not going to tell you what that is here. I'll do that next month, when I have more to say about it. So you'll have to come back again if you want to know.